Let's see. Good evening to Rihanna from Roseville. The Harry Potter and Twilight. Yeah. Our oldest daughter was like, into Harry Potter, right? As it was, kind of really becoming a thing. And so we all read that. And then Twilight as well. So yeah, we have all those books still. We have all the Harry Potter books and the Twilight books. And let's say good evening to Stephanie. How you doing, Stephanie? A man called Ovi?
It's so good. It's so inspiring, and it makes you laugh. It makes you cry. I highly recommend it.
All right. Well, here's the good part. See, I get to see the chat, because I record the chat log. So I like to look back through, and when we have these questions, I really appreciate all these suggestions because I actually look them up. And so I really appreciate it. But I want to welcome you all tonight to our session. This is part of our Teach for Endurance series. Tonight is the bike. And so if you joined us for the warm-up session, okay, you understood the framing, that this is framed over an endurance race. And Brian, and he'll share that with you, is like an extreme racer, kind of like triathlete, very mild-mannered, but an endurance athlete. At the top of his game.
I don't know about top.
Now I'm going too far.
Yeah.
But so you got the framing in the warm up. We went through the swim, and now is the bike. Which, if you joined in our last session, Brian says this is his most hated stage.
Yes.
And so we'll get into that. But before we get into the content, I just again want to thank you for joining us tonight. This is a member benefit with the MEA. My name is Chad Williams. I'm a UniServe director with the MEA. I've been with the organization since 2013. Prior to that, I was a high school English English teacher, science teacher, administrator in Grand Rapids. I live near the beautiful town of Big Rapids, where we have 5 kids, 2 in college, 3 still in the house, and so we've had a lot going on here tonight. The MEA, in case you haven't heard me say this before, has been, is the oldest union in the country. And as I think about these historical notes and I think about what's going on in our country right now and in the world, I just want to remind folks that the MEA came into existence in 1852, before the Civil War. And so pre-Civil War, the MEA was created. And then spanning the Civil War, spanning all those years since then, the MEA has basically established and built what we now know as public education. The fact that no matter where you live, no matter what your zip code, you are entitled to a public education. The fact that you earn degrees, that there are certifications, all of those things were initiated, and those seeds were planted right here in Michigan. And so as I think about all these historical things, I want you also to recognize the historical place that this organization has, and what can happen, in a little place called Ypsilanti in 1852, and here we are today. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and make Brian, you are now co-host, and You can go ahead and steal my share, and we can get into this content.
Yes, sir. All right. So let me make sure, Chad, while I'm pulling this up, I never asked you, just really quick, where are your kids at college? You've never told me that.
Oh, DePaul. Well, they both just graduated. So DePaul, in Chicago, yep. And a little small school in Minnesota, where my oldest daughter just got her nursing degree.
Awesome. Good for her. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I would like to welcome everyone new and maybe not new. If you've been to any of the other presentations, outstanding. If not, I hope you still get something out of it. I don't see why you will not. But this is indeed the bike section. As we go forward, Chad's already covered his MEA stuff. So let's look here first. Let me go back. That went too fast. We got a lag on our screens here. Let's try that again. There's that one. All right. same as each one of my presentations. The only reason I'm just alluding to it is simply because in case there's someone new here, but the bottom line is to get the most out of this, just like in my classroom with my teenagers or with my family or whatnot. If I want to get the most out of anything, life, racing, relationships, whatever, I need to be actively involved. So the more you can be involved with us here tonight and me, the more I think you'll get out of it. And that's always the hope, is to make it worth your while. And I do appreciate all of you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Rationale is also the same. Why in the world would I enter a race that's 146.2 miles that'll take anywhere between 13 and 15 hours, depending on the weather and how I'm feeling? And why would I go into that without a game plan? That's a disaster waiting to happen. And I think not just teaching, but even in some aspects of life, I think a lot of times we roll those dice without a plan, and sometimes we get bit. So doesn't mean you can plan for everything, because that's not, reality, but there are some things that you certainly should and be able to kind of have yourself a little more prepared for. So that's kind of the notion behind it. The swim session, our main things were these three. So last week, I think it was, there's always 3 key workouts that we do. And the key ideas I hope the people took away last week were control, which is, remember, we control very little, and don't beat yourself up about things that you really can't do anything about. All right, that's energy wasted. Assistance, find a swim buddy, find multiple swim buddies, find them in multiple settings, in your workplace, in your home, wherever it might be. Don't feel that you got to go it alone, your job, life in general, whatnot. We all could use help, okay? Or an ear, or a shoulder, or both. And then finally, our last workout was reflecting, and that is, when we do hit rough waters or make mistakes, which we all do, don't ignore them. Reflect on them. Reflect on what happened. Reflect on things that maybe could be done differently, so you can adjust your course later on and not make the same mistakes over and over. All right. Now tonight, I always like to get us together, and I'm just going to call on people randomly, because mostly all I see are gray screens with names, so I have no idea. So don't get mad at me if I call on you, except my buddy Eric. Eric is my boy. I love Eric. Anyway, all right. So the warm-up session, what we had done is, I get my guitar out and I say, how are you playing? And I can see Chad tonight, for example, is somewhere between the notes and out of tune. I don't think he's completely out of tune, but he's certainly not quite all the notes. So Chad's struggling. That was me 2 weeks ago. I was out of tune, whatnot. The bottom line is he knows, because he sees me every time I do these things. If any of you are out of tune right now, you're worried about world events and so forth, yes, that's certainly worrisome. But it's not there's not a thing you can do about it. Remember that control thing I just talked about from last week? It's a little beyond our pay grade to be able to do anything about it right now. What you can do is live your life to the fullest and move forward with your family, with your loved ones, and so forth. So Chad, yes, you can be worried, but you got 5 babies and a wife that need their dad and their husband. So you need to rock on, mister. Just remind, all right? Now, so for tonight, to get together, I'm going to play Melts in Your Mouth and Not in Your Hands. And if I call on you, I take my trusty M&M bag, of which I'm not eating any of them. I'm just pulling them out. And you can read whatever color it happens to be. There you go. I'm going to start with, because I can see her. I'm so happy when I see people. Kathy Murray. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just feeding a baby dinner, so sorry.
Hey, that's all right. I have 4, Chad has 5. We've been there, done it. So I'm going to ask, you can ask yourself or your baby, and you can make up what they say. I pulled orange. See, I'm not cheating. Orange is, what's something, Kathy, that you're really good at?
I like listening to people and helping people solve problems.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're
Orange
welcome.
goes in the cup. There we go. I'm pulling next. Ooh, I have brown. I am going to go to my boy, Eric. Eric, what is something you cannot live without? And obviously we know air, oxygen. Well, I get that. Go.
Books. If I didn't have books to read, I don't know what I would do.
Really? That's cool. That's cool. Mine would be music. I gotta have music. Gotta. All right, Kimberly, drum roll. What am I pulling? I don't know if you guys can see. I have yellow. An impactful childhood moment.
An impactful childhood moment. I'm trying to think what was it? When I was about 5,
Okay.
we moved schools, didn't know anybody coming into the new school district. And for me, that was impactful because you were just learning how to socialize and get friends, and you had friends. And then all of a sudden we were far enough away from where I used to live that none of those friends anymore. So it was kind of like, I feel like looking back that I went from being really outgoing to being really more shy, and then it took a while for me to
come
learn
back.
to be outgoing again. Yeah.
That's interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. I am going to ask, I think I saw her earlier with her coffee cup. So I think Melissa's here unless she left me. Melissa, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Hi, Melissa. How are you? Look at the color I pulled. I've got green. And green is your go-to music and or your show of choice if you're a Netflix binger. So either one.
Wow, and that's my favorite color. I have to say, I'm wearing a green sweatshirt.
All right.
I just like everything. I like country music and I like pop music.
Okay.
And a show of choice. I guess I like right now Stranger Things.
Oh, I love that show.
I give it to you all.
Love that show. The new ones are coming out in May. But if I had to pick my favorite series of all time, there's 2. Friday Night Lights would be one, and Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Those would be my 2 shows. So, all right, a couple more. How about, is Kathy Murray there? Kathy. Oh, I already talked to you. Oh, you tricked me with your picture being off. I'm looking for the mom sitting feeding a baby. Oh, you don't have to do it again. How about Courtney? Courtney Wolf. Is Courtney here?
I am.
Hi, Courtney. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. So here you go. I've got blue. So blue is something you'd love to learn how to do.
Gosh, I don't know. Weirdly, I've always wanted to learn how to crochet. So
Okay.
dumb, but
Not at
weirdly, I've
all.
always wanted to learn how to do that. I don't know why. It's kind of random, but
Not at all. Not
the
at
top of the
all.
list.
That's awesome. All right. Last 2 I'm gonna do Chad, because I always make him play along with us every time. He probably hates it, but I'm gonna turn the tables and give him a chance. Chad, I pulled red. Most impactful individual in your life up to this point.
Beyond obviously family, I would say Professor Middleton. He was a professor at Ferris, or is. He's retired now though, and a black gentleman from the South. Teaches language arts, and I took and I have a science background, right? I've always been into science, but I took this course with him, and it was a Shakespeare course, right? So I took Shakespeare in college, and to hear him read Shakespeare with this kind of like grand Southern lilt, man, I mean, he brought everything alive to me. I actually added language arts to my major, so I double majored in general science, physics, and literature. And he
Awesome.
Basically
That's very
redirected
cool.
my whole professional career.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And now we're going to flip it. I'm going to ask Margaret to do me a huge favor. Margaret, you see the colors. Pretend my little baggie is right there in front of you. You pull one out. Turn to tables is when you can say, okay, Mr. Brian, you always ask us our thoughts. Start speaking up. So what color do you want? What did you pull?
Wow, I got off so easy on that one. I'm going to have you do blue. I picked a blue one.
Something I would love to learn how to do. You know what? Just like the crocheting individual said she thought was kind of random or weird. You know what I would love to know how to do? I would love to be able to cook. I mean, I'm not talking about grilled cheeses and that. I'm talking about like those Food Network shows where these guys are just musicians in the kitchen. They know what goes with what, sweet, sour, salt, and they just, so that would be cool. But that's a lot of work, I think. A lot of more than I have time to do right now. So, but that would be mine, yes. Well,
You
thank you.
could do one of those like
You froze on me.
intensive courses in Thailand or something
Oh, yeah.
on summer break.
I could just it's very possible. Or I could just go on that show, The Worst Cooks in America, and just show what I got. All right. Well, thank you so much for flipping the script on me, and we shall move forward. I got to tell you up in front here. I mean, that's why Chad shares with you my notebooks that I make for you guys, because I always say that these presentations aren't a one-shot deal. When I do professional development, whether I'm with you fine folks or I'm in person in other school districts, it's not a one-hit deal. I look at these workbooks almost like you're building a journal of endurance. And when you need certain things, they're there. Maybe there's something you don't need now here, but there might be something from the warm-up session that you need. Maybe you're losing your purpose, whatever, you know what I mean? It never goes away. It's not like enduring ever goes away. We're always challenged with something. So that's why I give you these notebooks. The other thing being said is when we get to session 3 here, that third workout, it's going to be really beneficial for you to actually write or type. You actually are going to you're going to need to do some work. All right. So we're going to see how that goes, but I'm just telling you ahead of time. So as Chad said, get it out of the way right off the bat. In the race, I hate the bike. Why? Because it's long. For example, I've done Lake Placid's Ironman twice. So you got 112 miles on the bike through the Adirondack Mountains. And usually half of it, it's raining and half of it, it's sunny. And sometimes they'll throw some wind in there. It is a hard bike, really hard. And your bike too often, and that's what kind of goes right now, I think perfectly with what's going on in the world. You know, it's during the bike that my mind can start playing tricks on me because it's so long, and I'll start thinking about things that aren't helping me in my current situation. Because it's 7 hours usually for me to finish the bike, 6.5 to 7 hours. And I think that's maybe a lot of us right now, Chad included, where you're looking at us, but your mind is sectioned off and it's going in 20 different directions because you have worry, you have concern, and that's natural. But that would take us back, Chad, to the warm-up session with the right now, when we did what's on your mind and what you need to be focused on. Easier said than done, but it's a goal. It's always a goal. So our first workout for the bike is proactivity. And why I say that is because for me, if something's going to go wrong in the race, it's not going to happen to me in the swim. Yeah, I'll get my goggles kicked off. It's happened. Yes, I'm going to have something brush my feet and I don't know what it is. But I have it under control in the swim. The run, I've been doing that since I've been in diapers. I'm all good. I'm just going to keep moving forward. But the bike, here's the problem with the bike, everybody. You have a very distinct time limit. If I get a flat or something like that, and it takes me a long time to change that flat, which sometimes depending on what it is, if I miss my time cutoff, my day's over. So I've trained for a year with the possibility of never being able to finish. And if it's going to go wrong, at least for me, it's going to be on that bike. All right. A flat tire is my nemesis that I worry about. So that's kind of my metaphor for when I talk about these 3 workouts here. The first one is proactivity. Whoops, go back. This thing keeps freezing on me. So our first training session is being proactive, the breakdown. And if you can, try to foresee the potholes. If you know a pothole is coming, like when I'm driving on 75 and I got my driving app Waze, it'll tell me, it'll scare the crap out of me. It'll say pothole, I'll say pothole in the road. And usually it'll scare me, but then at least gives me, I can foresee the pothole to avoid said pothole to not have a breakdown. Okay. So here, as you know that if you've been here before, here's a quick little blurb of some research about proactivity. If you would please for me, just scan through that and then I'll ask you a question on the next page.
Ugh.
The way I look at this, especially that third paragraph right there, at least in you might have had a different experience, but I can tell you right now, 2 years ago in education, we were caught in a reactive state with the pandemic. We were not ready. Quite honestly, the country wasn't ready. And when you're caught on your heels, you get your butt kicked. Plain and simple. Do not live in a reactive state whenever you can avoid it. I mean, sometimes crap just happens. I get it. But the more proactive you can be, the better able you're going to be able to handle said things. So on the next page, I got a cutesy little page here where you could insert a text box if you choose. And it says, to you, what stands out regarding the research that I shared with you there? And if you don't want to do a text box and you just have a good memory, then that's fine too. And I'm going to, in about 30 seconds, talk to my new friend, Brad, because he's got the coolest background that I've been looking at right now. And I can tell Brad is chilling on a treadmill with the universe behind him and the headphones in. That's impressive. I like it. If I can figure out how to teach and present and work out at the same time, I'll be right with you. That's what, because I need to get one in too. So maybe you were, I don't know if you can actually read while you're, I don't know if you can pull that up. Were you able to actually see the research or is that too hard to read? Oh, he can't, his microphone's.
We could see it.
Oh, he could? Oh, all right. I couldn't hear him though, his microphone's turned off. I will go, what about?
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. All right.
It was
Gotcha.
hard to read. It was hard to read. It was a little shaky with the
Oh,
treadmill bouncing, but definitely from the military environment, way back in basic training, they said anything that does not kill you only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And you kind of, you have to have some of those things to get through the difficult times.
Yeah.
And I like if it's reduced to a saying, almost a mantra that you can say over and over in your head,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then pass that on to your kids and your students.
Well,
I know as a cyclist, you go through that. You have to do a lot of positive self-talk to get through those grinding parts of the course.
I just told my students this the other day because you reminded me of you said a mantra. You know, really all we need to know, if you've seen it, you learn in Finding Nemo, right? Dory says,
Yeah.
Just keep swimming. As simple as it is, that's pretty much it. So, all right, well, thank you so much. And going from your military background and talking about that, I guarantee they are in a proactive state when they can, and not a reactive. You're going to prepare for every possible scenario, even if the likeliness of it happening is unlikely, because you need to be ready. So I thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right, so we move forward. Here's what I'd like you to do for me. Whether you type it, write it, whatever. But this is important because this workout goes with all of them tonight. Without this one, there's nothing for you to do. So I want you to brainstorm. I just put 4 dots, whether or not you can come up with 4. Brainstorm some possible and or probable breakdown scenarios you've encountered during the school year or in life in general. So I'll give a couple examples and then you take it where you want. Obviously, it's never a good time in education if you or a family member gets sick, because it's a pain in the butt to A, get subs that don't exist, and B, give them lessons that your students won't eat them alive with. A life one, Chad knows, let's just say 2 weeks ago when I presented there, you want to talk about getting punched in the gut from life, let's just call it that. And that was a biggie. And right now, I don't know what you guys are experiencing in your life or in school or your job, but things are going to go wrong. Or have gone wrong. So list a couple breakdowns. Just like a flat tire on the bike in the race would be a breakdown. What are some of your flat tires that you've experienced so far this year? Did you get a nasty email from a parent that made you feel bad? Did you get, if you felt bad about it and you gave it a second of your life, it's a breakdown because you weren't feeling your optimal best because you felt lousy because someone was on your case. That would be a breakdown. Did you have an administrator visit and your lesson plan didn't go great? That would be a breakdown. Did you have to stay home from work one day when you didn't expect it and you were scrambling for sub plans? That would be a breakdown. Chad, you had one last week, and I don't remember the whole thing, but this would have been a great workout for you last week, what we're doing today. You talked to me about something, just communication. It was around communication with people, and it wasn't flowing very well. That would be a breakdown. And Eric, from a life perspective, you had a breakdown not long ago, being without your car, or it is that puts a wrinkle in your life. That is a breakdown. I'm just gonna go while you're doing. I'm gonna go on some a random spree here and ask some people at least for one breakdown that they've listed, if they're here. So I will go. Sarah, is Sarah Lester here? Sarah. Maybe no Sarah. So I will move to Kevin Welter. Is Kevin here? Kevin.
Hi. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Give me a break. Give me a breakdown.
I'm a special ed teacher, and it's still irritating me, but we had to our director was like, oh, you have to do this progress monitoring thing where you have to take the goal and then you just put it in this like thing on the IEP and it will show you a graph. And you need to do it 8 times to show progress monitoring. But I'm like, all of the goals that I write for most of my students are based on grades in Synergy. So I don't need to do that because it's right there. Oh, but you can just show this graph. And so then when you go to graph anything, and I am not a math teacher, it only lets you do like the 100 is your ceiling, but all of my goals are decreasing. So the graph should go this way, but I don't know how to enter the numbers in. So the graphs are like, and I'm just like, I don't even know. And you know what? I don't even care. And I'm like, I'm not doing it 8 times. I'm doing it 4. And so I'm not entering the numbers as I go along. I'm like, I don't care. We were told that parents wouldn't see it unless requested. And now it's showing up on progress reports and everybody's like, aren't you worried the graph is incorrect? I'm like, I don't know if the graph is correct or not. So why would a parent know? So I'm still irritated. And that was like,
I can feel it, and I don't blame you. So your breakdown literally is the having to do this extra data step, and as we always have, but really the breakdown is having an unexpected person nudge their way into your business.
Well,
Really?
it is special ed, so the parent
Well,
has a right to know.
they have that. They get legally they're going to
one-
come in, but if you already got your data,
Mhm.
it still
Yeah,
doesn't
and
feel, it still doesn't feel good when someone comes knocking per se,
Right.
metaphorically, or email. Oh, by the way, that can you? To me, that's someone getting in my business because these are my babies, these are my kids. I know what they're strong at, I know what they're weak at. There's only so many numbers I can show you, so I
and
get it.
it's just one more thing to
I
do.
know.
One
got
more.
you.
And in
I got
special
you.
ed, you're like,
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
so
Well, thank
where I'm
you.
at. Yeah.
I appreciate
Thanks
that.
for asking. Yeah.
What about, have I ever talked to Crystal yet tonight? Crystal Boyle? Is Crystal here?
I am here.
Hi, Crystal. How are you?
That's funny you picked me to tell you my struggle or breakdown because I had one today.
I'd love
Like
well,
like I had an emotional breakdown in my boss's office and I'm like, I
right.
need help.
All right.
So,
You don't have
um,
to if you don't want to, but in essence.
oh no, it was just I was thinking already that I could share,
Okay.
like when you're like, hey, I could share at this moment, and then you picked my name. So that was ironic. So my breakdown is sort of student teacher related. I have a student in my class who's really giving me a run for my money at the moment.
Okay.
I think he's struggling with not having a clear structured set of rules at home. He goes back and forth between mom and dad. So
Yeah.
and mom and dad are night and day with the way they deal with him. So
Okay.
but I'm dealing with the brunt of that because he is trying to do regular normal behaviors for him and get his way.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like a stop sign for him.
Okay.
And so today, and it's not normal third grade behavior. So it gets like I just I'm like, you're 8, 9 years old. You shouldn't be acting like this, slamming doors and throwing chairs and tipping desks over. So it's like, and then today he told me, I didn't do that, little girl, quit lying. And I was like, I'm not your mom or your sister. I'm like, so we had a breakdown today. But I think it finally was the breakdown that was needed for mom to really get on board and really help us make a change. So it might have been better than I took from it in that moment.
Well, your breakdown is great for someone that has not come up with one. Maybe someone's sitting there going, I can't think of a breakdown, which would shock me because life is rough. But every one of us, the unruly student is a breakdown. And every one of us, I don't care if it's kindergarten or seniors, have had them or have one right now or multiple ones. There's no doubt in my mind. And if you notice me, just so you don't think I'm wackadoodle, I'm waving to this beautiful baby that I see on the screen. Kathy's baby is up and done eating, so I keep waving just because that's what I do because I'm a dad. I don't know. Anyway, so the breakdowns, whatever you got is very important. If you got multiple ones, hold on to that thought, but you're going to need one of them. And I'm playing along with you, so just so I can model it. But let's go then to our reflection. Just answer in your head here, if you would, for me. Do you see any benefit in planning for something that may or may not even occur? And when I call on you, just be honest. There's no right or wrong. I'm just curious. What about Jackie? Is she here? Jackie, I think Diamond, I believe.
I am.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm glad to hear that. So what do you think, Jackie? Do you see any benefit in planning for something that may or may not occur? Or do you just think it's a waste of time?
I think there's a huge benefit to it because whether it happens or not, you at least have a backup plan, whether you plan intensively or have an idea of, okay, well, here's how I'm going to run with this. Then you at least know where you're going. So you're not blindsided.
Absolutely.
Like kicked on your butt and you have no idea what to do. And it could take you a while to get back up and figure out how you're going to attack it. Or if you have somewhat of a plan, at least you're not completely blindsided, and you can take at least a few steps with
You are-
however much you planned.
Great. Yeah, you're not completely on your heels, as I said earlier about how the pandemic a couple of years ago, we were, on our heels. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, or just think in a general sense, look at it this way. I think every high school should have a class. I'm sure they used to, but we've lost them, I'm sure. Every kid should know how to change a flat tire, for example. Why? Because it's proactive, because when they're on I-75 by themselves, and let's say that they don't have, their phone is not charged and they can't get a hold of a towing service, but they have a jack, and they at least have an idea of how to do it, is my point. And all of us should, because that stuff happens. Driving on 75 now, you're taking your life. There's so many potholes on 75. So if you're proactive, at least have a clue of how to do it, you won't freak out if it is going to occur. And that's the point, at least to me. So yes, Jackie, thanks for sharing that, because I agree with you 100%. All right, so we've made it through training session 1. Now this is where you're going to have to start, just like our little kiddos. If you're a teacher, you got some work to do here. I told you the bike is long and it's hard and it's arduous, and this is probably the most work that I'm asking you to do if you've been with my other sessions. What's the risk? A risk assessment analysis. This one, I didn't put much research. Well, I'm going to have you do something different on the next page, but I want you to just take a gander at, in the middle there, at a basic level, what a risk analysis is. Basically, those 3 questions are huge for anything that you want to have a little bit more preparation for. As I put up in the top there, my world, every time, plan A rarely works, if ever, but I got 25 more letters in the alphabet to work through with my plans. So let's just have fun with Chad for a minute. Watch what we do here, and let's see how he can use this analysis activity to maybe be prepared in the future. So let's play, Chad.
Let's go.
It is 5:55. You've got 50 people signed up and Zoom crashes. What could happen? What could happen?
What could happen?
I'm on my 3 questions. If
what
Zoom,
could happen?
so what could happen is Zoom crashes. What would be the impact tonight?
Folks, I couldn't do the webinar.
All right. So if it goes down, though, what can you do about it to minimize or mitigate the damage?
Have alternate technology, alternate devices.
Or let's say that's not going to happen. What could you do with your 50 people that signed up to maybe mitigate the fallout?
I could send them resources, instead of the live webinar.
That, and you could also just communicate and say, as well as I do, that sometimes technology is finicky. But what you don't do is ignore it.
True.
All right. So as long as they know that you realize that they tried to show up, but folks, this can happen, then it usually can mitigate it a little bit. I'm going to go to, where's my mom? There.
Now that actually happened to me, by the way, Brian. That did happen.
Did it?
It did. And I MacGyvered my cooling fan on my computer. Quit. It quit on me right before the thing. I literally, with cardboard, a hot glue gun, and packing tape in a fan, I literally built an external fan that fit into the thing and got that thing running. I got through that webinar. But anyway, I digress.
I love that.
So you asked me a good question.
Actually, I'm going to go to Kevin here really quick again, because she's got me intrigued. All right, Kevin, tomorrow, if your boy is not feeling it, he had a rough night, he's at his parents' house that doesn't, whatever. He comes in.
Me, or is there another guy?
Who's the one that has the one throwing the chairs?
It was somebody else.
Oh, you were the data. You're the data.
Yeah.
Where's the chair thrower? Where's the one that, was it a Jackie? Maybe?
Oh, that's me. No, sorry. I was like chair thrower.
All right.
Sorry, my dog jumped on me. So
That's
I was
all
out
right.
for 10
That's all right.
seconds and then came right back in. I'm like, what are we talking about?
No problem. All right. I'm with you really quick, just to do a quick thing like I did with Chad here. Tomorrow,
Okay.
what's a very good possibility? What could happen with this child tomorrow in your class? And just pick one.
Oh, that he throws a tantrum for sure.
If he does that in your class with 30 other kids or whatever the case might be, what's the impact going to be?
Well, it impacts the learning because I have to stop my lesson or whatever we're doing. And then we do restorative circles at my
Yep.
school.
Mhm.
And so like today I stopped what we were doing and had a circle with the kids about it, like how they felt and
Okay.
that kind of stuff. So it takes time out of what I was doing. And then he's not there for learning, which then makes it harder for him when he comes back.
So you got one thing you can do about it is your restorative circle.
Yeah.
What's something else you can do?
Tomorrow, physically, I can do tomorrow.
He has a temper tantrum tomorrow. The impact is the loss of learning. What can you do about this one child other than a restorative circle at that moment?
At that moment, well, usually I try to ignore it if the behavior is not like as extreme. Like today, he made our classroom unsafe, so I couldn't
Okay.
ignore that. But
Okay.
usually his grunting and like disrespectful behavior, I usually try to ignore that, and then we continue
Okay.
on. And usually they're pretty good about it.
Okay. All right.
The other
All
students,
right.
I mean.
And if that doesn't work, do you have a go-to number you can call down at the office?
Yeah, we have
right.
we changed the name. It was a recovery room, but we changed the name this year. I can't think of it right off the top of my
That's
head
fine.
though,
No,
but
that's just okay.
they're
So
meant
you
to
do
help
have-
like big emotions like that.
Okay. So you got a couple things that you can do about. All right. So all right, you're
Yes.
not in the blank there. All right, thank you. All right. All right. So since the research there was more of just the 3 questions, I love doing this with my kids. I call it get to the point, or I call it the gist. When you think of the words risk analysis, what's one word that comes to your mind that you think encompasses the concept of it? One word. And if Rihanna's here, I'd like to hear what she thinks. One word that could encompass risk analysis. And if she's not, I will continue. Oh, Rihanna's here.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Rihanna.
I just put a risk analysis could be something that could possibly happen. So possibility.
Possibilities. Oh, good. So possibility. All right. Love it. How about is Jason here? Jason Harvey? Jason.
Yeah, hi. I'm
Hi,
thinking
Jason.
outcome.
Oh, good. I like it. Very good. And one more. Heidi. Is Heidi here? Heidi Wilton. Heidi. How about Mary? Oh, hi, Heidi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you. How about one word that describes risk analysis?
All I can think of is analyzing.
Oh, I like that. Okay, good. Love them all. Love them all. They all work. Absolutely. They all get to the point. I like that. All right, here we go, folks. I told you you're going to be where this is where we dive in big time. On the left, see where my little bikey is there? Choose one. I don't know how many you had. Choose one of your breakdowns from that earlier activity that you know is very probable, which means it's going to happen more than likely if it hasn't already happened. Pick it. And my mom, although I lost the baby, I don't know where my baby, I don't know where the cute baby went, but the mom, you could even do it from that standpoint. Your breakdown could be, what if the baby does not go down tonight? Does not want to sleep.
You know, it's funny you say that because that's one of the things, but that's like the least of my worries in my world usually.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying it is because that breakdown, while it happens to all us parents or it happened to all us parents, that little breakdown, while the least of our concerns, can exacerbate the other ones that we head into in our workday when we don't have optimal sleep. So
That is very true. And it's very interesting that you say that, because if she doesn't go to sleep tonight, then what's going to happen to me is I'm going to start panicking about not feeling rested. And I'm going to start looking at the clock and going, I'm only getting this much sleep. And I'm going to think about all of the ways that tomorrow's not going to go as clear and crisp as it should in the morning. But then I can also think about like reworking that. Like, okay, so she's still awake tonight. So I'm just going to let her play for a little bit in the living room.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the kitchen. I'm gonna make the lunches tonight instead of tomorrow. I'm gonna, run a load of laundry. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that instead. While she's playing and wearing herself out. So I'm gonna try to rework my day.
That's it.
And it helped me a lot to do that this last week, because it did happen one night. She ended up playing for 40 minutes by herself, and I got lunches made. I got laundry done. I got all this stuff done. So it worked
That's
out.
awesome.
But I normally would have just taken the negative from it and not looked for a positive, and I switched my mindset.
Although that's good. Although I did notice, I'm minimizing my screen because I'm going to model with you, because I'm going to play along here and add text boxes, because I said we're going to work together. But I noticed what you had shared just a second ago. That was in our warm-up session. Did you notice how you let the mental avalanche take over?
Yeah,
You turned a snowflake into an avalanche.
I do.
And the quicker you can negate that, the better off you're going to be. I think I gave the example of me before the swim, where I start worrying about all kinds of things, and it can do me no good at that point. So there's no point in it. All right. So I'm playing along with you. That's why my screen's a little smaller. I'll choose a breakdown, because this is what I need you to be doing, just like we do with our students. Pretend this is my little smart board here. All right. I'll choose one of my breakdowns. I will do, actually, I've done it. There's my chosen breakdown of many. Whatever yours is, get it over there to the left. Just pick one. And it doesn't even have to be school related. I just need one breakdown. And Eric, I want to know yours, so I'm going to ask you.
My plan breakdown is that I've got camp and teaching going at the same time.
Okay. All right. Kimberly, what was yours?
Technology failure. We had the internet go out actually at our school. Like the electricity was on, but the internet was out. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
We've all been there this year too. Melissa, what's your breakdown?
I said the Wi-Fi going out.
Okay. And no matter what you have, this is key right here. Take a look at our right bubble. This is important. Make a list of critical functions you would like maintained if it occurs. What that means is the bare minimum to not lose your mind by the time this breakdown is over. So for example, with mine, being out of class unexpectedly, what is my critical functions? I don't have many. I want respect for the sub, and I want class to move forward, which means not dumb, pointless lesson plans to get through the day. Those are my two chosen critical functions if I'm going to be out of school unexpectedly. And I'm not just talking hot air here. I've put this one into this whole workout we're doing right now. I've put into action this year, and I've never had an easier time with dealing with subs in my life. And I'm not lying to you. So those are my critical functions. What are your critical functions? If the Wi-Fi goes out, for example, what do you want? What do you need to move forward to not lose your mind? And you can't say, I want the Wi-Fi back on, because that's not what's working. It's not working. So what critical functions do you want to maintain in your classroom if that happens? And Kevin, I don't know, what was your breakdown? What did you put on the left side, Kevin?
Well, I mean, I'm sticking with the Wi-Fi because
Oh, okay. All right.
Wi-Fi. But if Wi-Fi goes, The only one I have to worry about is one kid who uses text to speech. So he'll have to tell me the answers. Everybody else can write it on paper because
So
it's
you're,
easier to grade paper than
so if the Wi-Fi goes out, because I want, I'm modeling with everyone else, what critical functions then do you have for the one child to be able to communicate? That's one.
right. Just to
Signal-
answer questions is text to speech for him.
Okay, so hit the ability for him. And then what's another critical function for the remainder of your students that you want?
Just to get the work done, which I
to-
use. They
to
have
be
the
able to-
option of paper or online. So usually I have enough copies
Okay,
for paper.
all
So
right.
we'll get it done. Yeah.
Margaret, what was your breakdown that you chose? If she's still there, I don't know. I talked to her earlier. Margaret, are you there still? Did you leave? Did you go somewhere? Margaret. How about Courtney? Courtney.
I'm here. I just didn't hear your question. I'm
That's
sorry.
right. What was your breakdown that you chose on the left bubble?
On the left bubble. For the being out of class unexpectedly.
That's my example, but yeah, that guy.
Oh, so, well, I mean, I can speak to that one from today, even though it's your example. So, you know, finding out you have an IEP at the last minute.
Okay.
Sometimes just happens. And, you know, in the
So-
era of COVID, unfortunately, or fortunately, we have no subs. So then it's like a big scramble to get
All right.
everybody to cover. And
So
all
your
that.
breakdown was being pulled out of class unexpectedly.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious if did anyone put on the left the nasty parent?
I did.
Who am I talking to?
I'm Stephanie Spezia.
Oh, hi, Stephanie. So your breakdown, is it like the nasty email or the nasty phone call that
Yes,
that
yes,
kind of
the email.
kind of crushes your soul? All right.
Yes.
So if that happens, on your right, what critical functions do you need to maintain to make sure that you are not completely imploding on yourself? What would you like to maintain as an individual when that happens? Because it's going to happen.
Administrative support, knowing that that's there.
Okay.
You know, just keeping in my head that I am doing the right thing, or I have tried to do the right thing. And I don't know if this would go on that side, but, you know, stop replaying the scenario over and over and over. What could I have done differently?
All right. So let's do this. I'm still on this page, people, because this is important. I need you to finish this page. So I'm going to go with Stephanie here. The nasty parent email call, whatever you want to call it. All right. Critical functions to move forward. All right. Only you can answer that. If you don't, you need to get ahead and get on that. The other one, what else did you say? You said something else.
Just knowing that I did the right thing, or I did the best of my ability. And somehow to stop replaying it over and over in my head so I can just move on.
So your critical function then, and this is just my suggestion, you can just say, be quiet, Brian. You don't know what you're talking about, but I'm listening to you speak and I can tell how you feel about it. Notice the number I put there.
The number 1.
Yep. This move on was that might have been the swim. That I don't know if that was the swimmer warm-up session, but I'll give you one honest reflection on why do you think this parent did that. Consider the source. Where is this coming from? If it's a nasty email, are you shocked by the person it came from? If you're not shocked, then I would let it go right there because it's not you anyway. And then move forward. If you get a nasty email every day from 35 different parents because you got 35 kids, then you might have something to deal with. If it's one, then I wouldn't hold on to it too long, but I would make sure that critical function at the top, do you have that support? And if you do, once you've given it your reflection, and if there's no fault on your part, then you can simply tell them, listen, here's the email, deal with it. I don't know why they're on me, but it's not validated. Okay. That's how I would, because more often than not, it has nothing to do with you anyway, that email. When if I've ever gotten, I don't get too many, but if I've gotten one, I always look at it, usually when I get a nasty email, or if I've gotten one, 9.9 times out of 10, that person has lost control of something in their life and they're looking for someplace else to try to control. And I just happen to be the closest target, when it really doesn't have much to do with me at all. All right. So, and a lot of people feel a loss of control these days. As Chad said, obviously the world isn't helping much. And when people start to lose semblance of what they think they control, can get nasty. So be ready for it. All right. So the risk assessment analysis here is important, because the key is that right side. What do you want to maintain? That's going to be key moving forward, everybody, because the last workout will be the doozy. And this was a starting point. You got to have critical functions. I wanted to ask, what was, Kimberly, what was your breakdown? What did you say?
I said the technology failing.
All right. And critical, what do you want to move forward that day? The tech might not come back. So what do you need to happen?
Yeah, and for me, the issue is my curriculum is all digital. We don't have a set of textbooks or anything. So for me, I want to, because kids can crazy, maintain classroom management during that time, and then have some sort of meaningful learning going on, even if it's not from our curriculum.
Okay.
At least it's from maybe my core subject. It's something to do with social studies.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this particular workout is about. You know what you want to maintain. In simplest terms, on the bike, my risk assessment analysis, I want to be able to change a flat tire, because I need to be able to get back on the road, and I need to be able to get on the road quick. I did that analysis. That's my critical function, is to get my butt back on that bike and start pedaling. In the classroom, you just shared yours. So that's perfect. Thank you so much for that. All right. Reflect. I will ask, I will ask if I don't remember. Did I talk to Kathy Maria? Is Kathy my mom? When I see gray, I never remember. Yep. All right. So Kathy, whatever your breakdown that you chose on the left, how probable is that going to happen? I'm on number 1 for our reflection. Now here, I'll go back to big screen again, because I'm not typing anymore right now.
Okay, it's very probable that my breakdown could happen.
Okay, so it's not a waste of your time to consider it. Okay. Do you think your chosen critical functions, if that breakdown happens, are attainable?
Some of them are, yeah.
So if that's a key word, so I would put my heart, soul, and efforts into the ones that are attainable. Okay, because I mean, if you think some just aren't going to happen, then work for, even if you get a couple to work right, you're better off than you were before. Chad, I don't know if you even played along or not, but I'm curious, what breakdown did you choose?
So I'm a union person, and we have a lot of stuff going on in our union. So it's a union drama thing.
Okay. And so did you make at least 1 or 2? What do you want? What critical functions do you want to maintain in the eye of the storm? Okay. So the probability of this occurrence is 100%, because it sounds like it's occurring right now.
It is.
Okay. Do you think your critical functions are attainable?
Yes.
Okay, that's key, because if you don't, then you need to find another critical function. All right, that's key. All right. So whatever you chose, those 2 questions are important, because if you don't believe in number 2, then our last workout is pointless. Okay. So let us move forward. And I can tell, because it's been a busy week, you guys should be thankful that we aren't in person, because you know what I'm known for doing in person. If I see people getting tired, we would be working out. We'd be doing some stretching and some yoga and some breathing exercises, and I would get us all back and awake, because I know it's been a long week. I'm fighting not to fall off the chair here with you two. Thursday's late in the week. It's winter. It's February. Coffee for Chad. We got this. But if we were in person, we'd be doing a quick workout and we would be rolling here. All right. So training session 3, the big dog. I have a plan. The plan of action. And plan of action, I don't say it in terms of, everyone says, Oh yeah, I have a plan. No, but do you really? Sometimes people just shout this out at meetings, or I've been in so many meetings where they say, oh, we have a plan, or we'll table that plan. I love that phrase. Let's table it and we'll come back to it. No, you're going to have a plan, and you're not leaving me tonight until you do have a plan. That's why I'm here. All right. So I froze again. Go back. Go back. Back. All right. Then I will do this. If you want to be feisty, I will go like this. There. All right. So once you've recognized the breakdown possibilities, oh, my S disappeared, and you've identified the critical functions you'd like to maintain, however many they are, it's now time that you got to create a plan. There's no shortage of studies that have shown having a solid plan provides multiple benefits. If you have a plan, number one, you're given clarity. We love clarity. Being very clear on what we want to move forward allows us to prioritize our time and energy. So when that internet goes out, instead of throwing a fit, which I have neighbors in our school that I've seen, once it goes out, what do I do? What do I do? Well, I don't know. You tell me. What are you going to do? I know what I'm doing. Do you? So don't freak out and get caught on your heels. I'm going back to the beginning here, people. Don't be caught in reactive states if you can avoid it. You can thank me later. Focus. If we have a plan, having a singular focus provides us a target. That goes back to the warm-up session. Work on one. Have a purpose. Why the heck are you doing what you're doing? Kimberly, you don't have to answer it. I'm just looking at you, so I'm asking you metaphorically. Why do you need this target? Why do you need to know what you're going to do if the internet goes out? Well, my guess is because you're tired of having a headache of dealing with crowd control when the kids go haywire when the internet goes down. And then satisfaction. Each step you take towards your desired outcome, your stress levels are going to go lower. I guarantee if Kimberly walks away tonight with a distinct plan that we're about to try to do, when this happens again, not if, but when, it's not going to be as bad as it was when she didn't have a plan. That is my whole point for tonight. Whether it's, and Melissa's got the same one. Melissa had the Wi-Fi thing. Someone had the nasty email. Everyone's got their own breakdown. Whatever it is, it sounds like it's time to do a plan, pun intended. So we're going to get to work. And this is why I said it's going to be helpful for you to type tonight or write, because I want this thing taken to your classroom or your place of work. I have it. It's by my desk. It's hidden by a calendar. So with the research, don't worry about it, because basically it's these three things right here. Clarity, focus, and satisfaction are all things. They're all things that will release dopamine in our brains, and it makes us feel good. So I'm all in. All right. So here we are. This is the big dog. I'll take you through quickly my one so you can see, and then I'm going to have Chad put you in breakout groups to work together to help each other come up and create your plans. I've only got 10 minutes to give, so if you don't finish it, you guys all have my email, and if you don't, Chad can give it to you. You can email me and I'll help you finish it. But I'm going to go very quick on the one that I did for me this year. That's why I'm here. Have I shared my plan with vested interest? Vested interest means who else is involved in this that has a stake in the game. With my kids, my students knew full well I wasn't dealing with wasted time sub days anymore. So I did share it with my students. They are well aware of it, which is important because they take part in that day. My goal, for better or worse, it's not my fancy goal that I wrote, but my goal is not a wasted sub day. No more. Done with that. This is key. What's the trigger? What puts your plan into action? For the one individual, it's the one child that is losing his cool or throwing chairs or whatever. That's the trigger. My trigger is if I'm out or going to be out. For Kimberly and a couple other folks, it's if the Wi-Fi, that's your trigger. If the Wi-Fi goes out. 4, does your risk analysis take into account vested parties? Means is everyone aware that needs to be aware of it? For me, yes. Me, my students, and admin, and there's a note for the sub too. There, everyone, the big picture, they all know it. And then what does victory look like? How are you going to know if it was successful? My victory is a good sub report. And you might find this one odd for me when I tell you this. Is practice needed? For me, yes. Believe it or not, I took one day early in the school year and they had to pretend that I wasn't there and they had to go through my plan. So we did have a practice day. Hey, what can I say? I'm a football coach. It's what I do. So we practiced. I wouldn't ask my football team to run a play that I never had them practice before a game. So why would I ask my kids to pull this off without having to practice? So we practiced. So when you guys are in your groups, I first hope that you will work with each other and not stay quiet. Share your thoughts and help each other build this plan of action. Seriously, help each other. Because I only got 10 minutes to give you. So when Chad puts you in the breakout rooms, usually he chooses the number. You know, help each other, just like you would have your students help each other on a math problem or anything else, and bounce ideas off each other. The key is get a good goal and know what your trigger is. What's going to put this plan into action? Okay. So
All
Chad,
right.
if you wouldn't mind, this is the biggie. I need you to put them into groups to work together. And when they come out, I'm going to see if I can hear at least a couple of their plans.
All right. So folks, in the chat, you may have noticed that I dropped in a link. It is the link to the session guide. It's right there in the chat. And if you click on, make sure you click on that link before you go into the breakout room, because you won't see those prompts once you leave this space. So make sure you click on that right now while I'm talking. And then it is slide 22 of the guide. And so you will see that right there. All right. And so, and then one other thing, let's see here. If, let's see, how shall we do this? If your birthday is whoever birthday is closest to today, then I would like to ask you to be at least the leader of your group. You'll be in groups of 3. And how many minutes now, Brian?
Looking at our clock right now, I'd say we got 10 is all we can give tonight.
Okay.
So at
10
least
minutes,
make a good dent.
10 minutes it is. And you will be in groups of 3. And so make sure that you accept the breakout room request when you see it. And you will see that in 3, 2, 1. All right, I know we have a few folks that are maybe on phones right now, and so if you're on a phone, thank you for joining us. You're still welcome to hang out. If you didn't notice the breakout request, make sure you say yes, accept that. Looks like about everybody.
So Chad, I can't tell you when in building up to this one tonight, this one is huge. I had this, I did this for a flat tire on my bike because I can't tell you how freaked out I was about that. So I did it with it. And then I did do this with this sub thing for my classroom, and we did practice it. And I got to tell you, I'm not making stuff up. It's happened twice this year. I've had to be out. One for that funeral I told you about and all that deal. And then another one, I don't remember if it was, I got called out for something or whatever, but it went, once that trigger happens,
boom,
it's game on. And it's my first year in 26 years of teaching that subs having sub plans is not giving me a headache, because it's instant. It goes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I have to tell you, this right here, Brian, I am I don't know, pathological scenario developer.
Okay.
I that's one of those things that I'm always doing. I'm always thinking, always about the what ifs, and particularly in this line of work, and I think not only in teaching, of course, but when I started bargaining,
Mhm.
it's like a lot of these things are happening, in the moment, right? Just like in the classroom, and so doing an excessive amount of preparation and like just like you're doing here, is been super helpful. I will spend hours and hours on something that may not even occur.
Can I, can I share something with you?
Sure, yeah, please.
I'm getting a link here. I don't think you can see can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
What do you see?
Well, I just see the plan of action.
That's not the all right. There's another screen I got up, but I don't.
Mhm.
Where do I do that? Stop share.
You get to do new share.
Yep. I'm going to share with you.
Oh, okay.
One of my podcast links.
Oh, okay.
And ironically, wait till you see the title. I have 19 so far.
I'm getting ready to start. I've been planning a podcast series, so that's next
right
to
here.
my. Here we go.
Episode 14. I'm going to share it to you.
Okay.
What if? And in I haven't listened to that one. It was one of my ones I did a while ago, but I love that game, and I talk about in that podcast. Play it. What if? So what if you're freaking out that an administrator is going to come and watch you teach one day unannounced? Okay, do that. What if they do? What are you going to do? What if, I'm not big on hypotheticals and a lot of things, but the what if game to likely things can be very helpful. So here's the link, and I think and then you can also hear my little jam, because all the music in the beginning of the podcast is me.
Now, do you mind if I share this in the post session email?
No, I would share. I would love you to. I'll give you the whole the whole podcast play, or my user thingy on.
Yeah, drop it in there.
They can find this on my podcast is here on SoundCloud, and it's on iTunes as well.
Looks like SoundCloud.com Teach for Endurance basically is the
the URL. But I'll send you. Here's there.
Okay. Yeah. I'll share that in the email after the session.
Cool. But yeah, I hope. I mean, it depends on it depends on what their chosen breakdowns are. Some would take a lot more time, but at least I want them to see this little template of how to do a simple plan of action. Like the Wi-Fi people, this is simple. They should have a plan done before they leave tonight for that, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think the one that I was saying, I'll just share it with you. Like it's a union thing, right? We have a number of issues, some COVID related, some just work duty related, kind of like internal union management issues. But the key that I really was intent on maintaining, and I wrote it down here, was relationships, because it's easy to get in corners and get into factions and that kind of stuff, when things are of significant consequence. And I've been determined not to do that, not to be part of it, at least personally, and so.
Speaking of the union, I won't have an answer, and I didn't even know about it. That's usually how things happen, and that's how you get caught in the peripherals. And that's another thing in my bike section of the book is you and I aren't going to get hit in the face from the front. It's the peripheries that knock us on our butt. And one periphery that's happening right now that I didn't even know, I knew about in Indiana, I didn't know about in Michigan. Is the union aware of this one turd legislator who is putting something out that he wants all lesson plans posted by August for the entire year?
I've heard of that in other states, where they're, trying to part of like the make sure that we're not, we don't say gay, we don't say, Black lives, we don't teach, any of those sorts of things. And so they can kind of check. Yeah. I haven't heard about that in Michigan, but I haven't really been keeping up on that.
It's Bill H227. I forget.
Okay.
There's like 5 legislators that are on it. And his analogy is, well, I teach karate classes and I have all my classes posted so they know exactly what they're coming into that class. And I'm like, are you kidding? Really? Really? This is comparable to someone like doing like your literature or someone. Plans change every day.
Well, and I tell you what, my response to that, and of course, nobody really is going to want to do that. But see, we already have lesson plans. It's called the state curriculum. It's already public.
I know.
It's already there.
They just come up with stuff to do. I swear to God, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know if oh yeah, that's not even in the pipeline. That was already on the floor. What I don't know is if it passed or not.
Well, you know what? I can check. We have a couple of our lobbyists, and this one of them, Dr. Michelson is his name, and he has he has a web page that he maintains that actually it's like a legislation tracker.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it in a while, but he shows everything that's in committee, that's come out of committee, that's up for vote and so forth. So.
Well, the thing that, and I could, what really bothers me when I see stuff like that, and it's, I'll tell you is, I don't like when people look at little things like that just to make things difficult, because all he's doing, they're nitpicking and doing stupid things, when really what needs is kids need help. Kids are expensive. They need, if you want to write a bill, figure out a way to get more mental care into our schools.
Oh my
Figure
goodness.
a way to get more therapy dogs into our schools. They're 10,000 a pop. Figure out, do something that's needed now. That's, you know what I mean?
Oh, you're preaching to the choir, obviously, on that one, but I agree. The thing, in terms of, oh no, I lost my train of thought there. Because we were talking about legislation and,
yeah. I was just talking about do things that are actually helpful and not nitpicking just to make.
Oh, yeah. So what's interesting is actually, because I interact a lot with MDE, and MDE has been consistently, I'm bringing them back now. We're at 1 minute. MDE has really been consistently in the right place, and it's always the legislators who kind of sidetrack things. And so I've been able to be a part of a number of groups with MDE, where they try to craft talking points for legislators to keep them on the right path. But yeah, they, as an English teacher, it reminds me of those types of things, where as a non-language arts teacher, we'll try to look at like writing.
Yeah.
And the only thing they can kind of point to is like, well, here, there should be a comma here and maybe a period here and next we capitalize. It's like mechanics, right?
Yeah.
But that's what legislators do when they don't understand what really happens in a school.
Oh, we got
all right. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. We're all coming back. You guys are joining us as we pontificate about the state of Michigan education and legislation and funding, all those good things. All right, we're all back. Okay. We developed a plan for it too, by the way.
So yeah. So again, I was talking to Chad about a few things, honestly, but the one thing is that I want you to keep this in mind. Do me a favor. I mean, I'll never be able to prove it one way or the other. Depending on what it is, I was telling Chad, like my Wi-Fi people, just like with my students with some activities, I fully think that you should have a plan right now. I think 10 minutes was enough to be able to do that. Depending on what your breakdown was, you might need a little bit more time. But what I don't want you to do is quit on this, because this guy right here, I want in your workspace. I want it ready to go. Because when you were in your breakout rooms, I told Chad that I'm not, this isn't a commercial for anything. This works for me. This guy, in 26 years of teaching, this is my 26th year. Finally, sub days are not a pain in the butt for me, because this plan goes into action immediately, and it's worked twice this year because I've used it twice this year. I had this same sheet I told Chad for my bike for a flat tire. I was panicked about having a flat on the bike in a race, and I had a plan ready to roll, and I didn't need it, but I'll tell you what, I was ready for it. So do I have a plan of action for everything? God, no. I said, that's not real. But I do have a couple in my back pocket, so to speak, for some things that come up more often than other things. So I'm just going to ask a couple. My only request is don't give up on it, please. this is important to me and you for being here tonight. Kimberly, plan of action. You can't have it yet. Do you plan on having and sharing your intentions for this plan with your students or whomever?
Yes. And actually in the group, we were talking about how really this could almost work as an emergency sub plan too, assuming that, so the fact that it could kind of be used for both things for me was really, I'm like, oh, that makes that even easier for me not to have to think that I have to, have two separate
I'm
plans.
glad. What is I mean, it might not be, perfect, not a fancy goal, but in general, what is the goal?
The goal, kind of like, you have not a wasted sub day. Mine is, it's not like a wasted class period. So, I mean, sometimes the internet comes back.
Yeah.
It's not always a full day thing. So, but for however long it's out, that we're not wasting our time, that we are having, learning is happening and they're learning something.
So your trigger, I'm assuming, is internet goes kaput.
Yeah, internet goes
out. Do you plan on, in your head, who are the vested parties here besides yourself? Who needs to be involved in a successful implementation?
Yeah, so for this is where we start thinking about a substitute, because I was like, well, myself and my students for sure would be vested. And I was like, well, it's not necessarily just going to go out while I'm there. It could go out while there's a sub there. So then they're like, well, we need to have something maybe in sub plans or that. And that's when we're like, well, this could be an emergency sub plan. And then they don't have to worry about internet.
Well, that's why it's important for the big picture, at least for that. And for me, because yes, we have the dreaded red subfolder in the office. So when, just in case, it's they weren't even ready for me to be out, I have a little note in that red folder that tells them, you see this, they have this in here. That sheet you're looking at on my screen is in that emergency subfolder, and they'll know exactly what to do. And they know, my students know exactly what they're expected of. Okay. What's a victory for you?
For me, because of my specific plan, because I have a bunch of junior scholastics sitting in my room, and we haven't been using them because we've been online, and I haven't been gone yet this year. Hopefully that doesn't. And so my victory would be that we're able to like read an article, do an activity from the junior scholastic on paper.
And that victory is also that there's not a wasted day or
right, not wasted because we're doing, and then in my mind specifically, this is what we would be doing to make sure it's not wasted. Yeah.
And now finally, and this is for everybody, they can answer in their head, but I'm asking you, since you're kind of doing the example with me, I'm curious what you're going to say. Is practice needed?
I actually said yes, because I haven't been gone, and in previous years, I didn't use them as emergency sub plans, but I would plan based on like the newest issue of the junior scholastic. If I knew I was being pulled for meetings and things, I haven't been pulled because it's hard to find subs. So this year, my 7th and 8th graders have not done any junior scholastic stuff. So I'm going to say, yes, we need practice, because they need to know like what is expected when we do this, what kinds of activities we're going to do, things like that.
Well, I'm glad you said that. And I can't speak for everybody because I don't know all your breakdowns, but I would say 90% of your breakdowns, practice is needed. I would go in one day, pick a day in the school year or school week coming up, and just say, we're playing today, kiddos. Guess what? I don't care that there's internet, it's out. What are we going to do? Or I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, because this is how it's going to work. Because when it doesn't happen again, this is what, and just like I practice. It was actually fun practicing a sub day with me being there and them having to pretend that I wasn't me. And I made up a name and I was like a sub. So actually it was kind of funny, but anyway, we did practice, and practicing is important for pretty much anything, quite honestly. But well, what I hope then, folks, is that you at least have a starting point on this guy right here, because this is one of the most important workouts. I took this right out of my bike section of my book. This workout right here is huge, 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 huge. Now I'm going to ask somebody. I'm going to ask, and who knows what my answer will be. So she left. I want to talk I didn't see this one before. There she is. Her name is, I think it's Jenna. Is it Jenna? Jenna.
Hi.
Hi, Jenna. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am doing pretty well. Thank you. Can I don't know, did you have a breakdown that you chose? Because this is the first I've seen you tonight. And did you have, why, I scroll through the pictures, but sometimes I'm talking and stuff and I miss it. Did you have a breakdown?
Mhm.
What was it?
Well, I've been struggling with curriculum changing like every year. And I was talking with my partner,
Uh-huh.
and she said to try to find like common themes in the curriculum and then
Okay.
carry those across.
It's a good idea. So through
Yeah,
line.
great idea. Super helpful. So I've just been kind of getting stuck on the details of it all, but thinking about that bigger picture was
Okay.
really helpful. So
Please
that's my plan.
complete that page I showed you. Don't give up on it. And if you get stuck on something, Chad will give you my email. I'm not hard to find. I'm in Rochester. So not a problem.
Thank you.
So can I ask you, I'm going to ask 3 people just because the number popped in my head. Jenna, even though you've just started it, I don't think you finished it. Do you feel a little better about the concept of this breakdown, knowing that you have a plan of action starting to take shape?
Yes.
All right. And answer me honestly, because you don't have to make me feel good. I'll ask, thank you so much for sharing that, Jen. I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you too.
Melissa, I think you were a Wi-Fier, if I remember right. Honestly, share with me, do you feel a little better about the possibility of this breakdown if you indeed have put together a plan of action?
I do. I feel a little bit less stressed. I'm teaching pre-algebra for the second time in my my career. So as a special ed teacher, we get moved around a lot. So we're constantly having to relearn everything.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better.
Well, notice how I phrased it too. I didn't say you had to like the situation. Honestly, for you guys, you want the internet on because it's easier for the class to function. I'm saying, do you feel better about the crappy situation if it occurs? And then hopefully, yeah, a little bit. Eric, yes or no? Whatever your breakdown was, do you feel a little better about it if you've started putting together this plan of action, which I hope you have?
Yes, absolutely.
And
you always, we tell our kids, students, well, let's break this, whatever you don't understand, let's break it down.
Yeah.
This is what that does.
Good. I'm glad.
The chunks, and I'll survive.
I'm glad because I want to make you happy, Eric, because I love you. And I truly do want you to get something out of it. All right. So we're at the end. I always do this at the end of the workout or the sessions. You have a training commitment every time. So right now, if you've been with me for all of these, there's 9 things. Would be 9. I want you to commit to being more proactive anytime you can and not be caught in a reactive state. Get off your heels. Okay. If need be, and a breakdown is coming, or you just want to be ready for one that you are pretty sure is going to happen, analyze the situation. That's your risk analysis. Analyze the situation. And then, most importantly, if it's that important to you and it's coming, and to avoid being, crushed by it, then make a plan of action. I didn't say make a plan of action for everything in your life. I said make a plan of action for the things that crumble you. And if sub-plans crumble you, then make a plan. If a student is crumbling you, analyze it and make a plan. If Wi-Fi drives you nuts when it goes out, make a plan. And use that template. Now, my last thing, I always do this. I'm going to go to Kevin first because I like talking to Kevin. Kevin, we are doing the, actually, we just said we're good with this. I want to go here. I like to end with this. My SCS closing. Based on what we did tonight, Kevin, what's something you are going to start doing? You're going to promise me, yes, Brian, I promise I'm going to start doing this.
Kind of like what you said earlier about like exercising, to stay like engaged.
Okay. Oh, okay. All
I mean,
right.
I know that's not a lot of what you were going.
Oh, I don't
over,
care.
but
I could care. I ask these questions. I just like honesty. I mean, you could flat out say, Brian, you suck and I'm bored to death and I don't have a clue.
No,
So I'm
it's
gonna
not that.
it doesn't matter.
Really
It does not matter to me.
It was a busy day.
What's something that you're going to try to stop doing?
Just yeah, I really tried to focus this year on not like talking about whatever the issue was and then being done and just moving on. And that's what I'm gonna keep doing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm all and like I've said in everything. If one thing I promise all of you guys, first, for taking the time, I appreciate being with me. Secondly, I say the same thing to you that I say to my students, that I say to anybody else. You may not like what I got to say, but I guarantee you one thing: I'm not going to lie to you.
Mhm.
I don't have time for BS, and I cut it straight to what it is. And the point is, Chad said it in the beginning. Just the fact that you're here with me tonight, Kevin, there's so much crap in the world and going on. Not only this, but it's hard to focus. I get it. It is hard. And I just thank you for looking at my bald, ugly head all night. I mean, that can't be easy to do. So I appreciate that. Kimberly, what's something you're going to start doing? Hopefully.
Just in general, because we only looked at one thing, but I get anxiety about a lot of things. It's only my third year teaching. So I think trying to be prepared for things like the feedback when it's like, but reminding myself, like, it's my third year teaching. Like, I'm going to start being kinder to myself maybe about some of that stuff and preparing myself in that way.
Give yourself a break. And to finish, Chad, I'm asking you, what's something, mister, you are going to stop doing immediately? You're going to stop it. Based on tonight.
Well, okay, so a little bit lighter. And I think to Kevin's point on exercising, I actually started today. I'm stopping those late night little snacks when I really, it's like, like the kids leave the kids, they know me. I'm a midnight snacker. They call me that. So
that's hard to do.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it. I'm staying strong.
I love to hear it. Well, and my hope would be this. I hope many of you will start being more proactive, and whatever is important enough to you to be proactive with, to not be caught on your heels. I hope you continue doing what you're doing, because you are all needed greatly. We are all needed as educators more than any time I can ever remember. And I want you to stop doing a lot of things. Number one, I want you to stop being caught on your heels if you can avoid it. And I want you to stop being hard on yourselves like Kimberly. And remember, whether you're a third year teacher or 26th year teacher like me, what we do is not for the faint at heart. Give yourself a break and know that you are all awesome. All right. Chad, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. And, this is a great session. I want to remind everybody, I'm going to be sending this out again at the end of the session. And there's going to be, Brian does a podcast. And so it will include a link to Brian's podcast. You'll be able to check out some of his other content. But there's two things that I've learned from this session that reminds me of how important it is. The pre-planning, I've used it my entire career, whether it's preparing for that ornery parent and having a plan for that, or in this case, an ornery superintendent or their ornery lawyers. I have to have a plan for that. So I'm always ready. And to Kimberly, I'll just tell you, the other thing I learned is that, what? I learned in my educational career that I can handle it. I can handle it. And that is a cool thing to realize, that, man, you can handle it. And we deal with so much crap, and we keep it moving, and we're still thinking. And so always give yourself credit. It is something that we don't give ourselves credit for, but you can handle it. All right. That being said, thank you so much. You guys have a good evening. Tomorrow is Friday. Do not let anybody take it from you. Have a great weekend, and hope to see you back very soon. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys. Take care. Have a great night.